But unless there's follow-up, unless the people themselves are vested in it and see its value and its worth, it's not going to happen. So with that in mind, why should we shift to a more ongoing professional learning system? Why should we shift to doing not the sit and get training that many of us were subject to, but training around teaming and training around how to let our teachers lead their own professional development? Why should we move more to that model?
We spend an obnoxious amount of time and money as a profession on learning, right? So, I mean, billions of dollars, entire weeks of people's careers that are spent in this professional learning space. Yet, when you look at the results, teachers don't feel like they have a voice and they're not stating that it's particularly effective. So I think if anything, it's a professional responsibility to embrace that data and say, we've got to do better. Like we do better on the part of kids, and we've got to do better on the part of adults in our systems. And part of that is recognizing that andragogy for adults is different than pedagogy for students. That as adults, our identities continue to be formed well into our 30s and 40s, and the way that we bring those experiences and the job embedded opportunities into our learning spaces is so much different than what students do. But it's also important that, as you noted, we're providing time not just for the transaction, right? The transmission of information, but the application, the troubleshooting, the social construction that we know is so important for educators to walk away from the experience feeling as though, hey, you know what? I made something and I made something that matters, and I'm going to turn this around into my classroom or my school the very next day or very next week.
Hmm. And so when you go in to do this consulting work yourself, what are some of the ways you help school systems? Or let me backtrack. What are some of the ways you help the individual to self-actualize their professional development, say a teacher?
Yep.
What are some of the ways in which you help teams to function? And then how might you counsel an administrator or a principal to ensure that they're putting in the systems that allow teachers the self-actualization when it comes to their learning, as well as their teaming?
So, in the spirit of Grant Wiggins and Jay McTighe, right, in terms of backwards planning, I'm going to start with the systems level and then work my way down, John, if that's okay.
Please.
Uh, So thinking at the systems level, right? Like what is your mission? What are your school goals? When you look at your student growth and achievement data, what are you hoping to accomplish? But with that, you also need to triangulate what are you seeing in classrooms, right? It's crazy to me how much classroom observation data we collect, but then we don't actually review and analyze. And then also, what are teachers telling you that they need and they want, right? Those three data points together, the student growth and achievement with the teacher observation and the teacher needs assessment, are incredibly important at a systems level to drive that design and program process. At a team level, I don't know that we always coach teacher leaders to the degree that we need to understand what it means to facilitate good meetings, to be a team leader, to effectively select and utilize protocols, to engage in focused and effective conversations. And then quite honestly to have hard conversations when we need to with colleagues, because so often those conversations are better received peer to peer than they are leader to peer. But if we haven't trained or appropriately equipped teacher leaders with those skills, they're not going to do that well. And then finally, at the teacher level, it's baffling to me how many other professions respect the idea of self reflection and knowing yourself as a learner and taking a variety of different inventories, whether that's a Myers Briggs type indicator or a Clifton Strengths Finder or so many other tools that are out there to understand ourselves as learners and what our growth profile is, how we're motivated, how we respond in a team setting. That's very much what we're looking to our teachers to facilitate with students, but we just don't support that growth process with the educators in our system at an individual level.